Dore Gold is with me, former ambassador of Israel to the UN, and today you are the head of, one more time, sir.
A research institute called the Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs, jcpa.org if you're interested. And we put out enormous amounts of research material on the Middle East that reaches, I think, important opinion makers.
He wrote a book, The Fight for Jerusalem, I'm holding in my hand. And I'm here in Israel during what's going on now with Hamas in Gaza. And precious people of God, we need to pray and support Israel today more than ever. I am stunned, Dore, by the protests in Europe, even in the US, calling, and I should say calling, for Israel's destruction. Can you believe it? These protesters aren't calling for peace, they're calling for blood. And I said, I am going to Israel, and here we are in January, to stand with Israel. You know, there are not a whole lot of tourists right now, frankly, which is sad. The hotel I'm at, there's only 50 rooms that are occupied, 50 only. And this is the time we must support Israel. I'm telling you, I will bless them that bless thee, God said, and I'll curse them that curseth thee. We cannot erase that from the Bible. And the fight for Jerusalem is on. You know what's happening in Gaza, you all know that. It's Iran behind it. And with Hezbollah, Iran is behind it. And we are going to talk about today what we can do as believers to help Israel, not only now, but also tomorrow and after that. Because Israel needs friends right now more than ever. What's going on in Gaza right now? I mean, the Hamas groups, of course, are losing their hold, it seems, from what I hear on the news. There's a lot of tunnels they have built, really in the hundreds, you said to me earlier. So what's the latest, and what's going to happen?
That's the real story, what you just mentioned, the tunnels of Gaza, and I'll explain why. We have two goals in this military operation. One is to change the military situation in southern Israel and in Gaza so that the people of Israel will no longer be struck day in and day out by Hamas rockets. Yep. The first rocket was launched in 2001. We have now had rockets being launched at Israeli civilians in Israeli cities for 8 years. A total of about a little over 4,000 rockets, another 2,000 mortar shells launched at the people of Israel. So now Israel is taking a defensive campaign to destroy the military capacity of Hamas. But let's say we manage to get Hamas to come out with a white flag. And they say, okay, we're not going to shoot rockets at you anymore. And the Egyptians guarantee it. Over the years, the Hamas have built an enormous number of tunnels. These tunnels are in an area called the Philadelphia Route. It's on the border between the Gaza Strip and Egyptian Sinai. And through those tunnels, they have been smuggling Iranian weapons, Iranian rockets. They have also been sending Hamas operatives out of Gaza. They fly from Egypt to Syria. From Syria, they fly to Tehran. And outside of Tehran, they're trained by the Islamic Revolutionary Guards, the IRGC, the Pasdaran. They come back, Syria, Egypt, go into the Gaza Strip, and help Hamas build a highly trained army that knows how to operate rockets. So if we defeat Hamas tomorrow, but leave the tunnels open and have no way of preventing the tunnel smuggling, they'll get all their rockets back from Iran in 6 months, and they'll get rockets that can strike Tel Aviv. That's why the key to winning this war is creating a new situation on that Philadelphia corridor that separates Gaza from the Egyptian Sinai.
Let me ask you something. Where is this going? I mean, can you really stop Iran from supporting Hamas, Hezbollah up north? And that's another puzzling thing that's happening now that Nasrallah kind of is keep quiet. What's going to happen?
Well, I think, first of all, the West has to understand that Iran sees itself emerging as the supreme power of the Middle East. You know, when Ayatollah Khomeini took over in 1979, his constitution, his declarations, his principles talked about exporting the Islamic Revolution, and they began doing that. Then they had the Iran-Iraq War, and they sort of stopped. Since the rise of Mahmoud Ahmadinejad as the president of Iran, they've had a second Islamic Revolution, and they're determined to export their military capacity, ideology, financial aid to all kinds of groups in the Middle East. Now, we're experiencing it here, and the world media is focused on Iran and Hamas. But you know what Iran really wants to do? Iran wants to dominate Iraq, where virtually every Shiite political party has received Iranian
And you think
support.
that's going to happen after the U.S. pulls out?
There's a good chance that will happen. Second area, take the little island state of Bahrain off the Saudi coast. Bahrain is a country with a Sunni Arab leader, emir, but the majority are Shiites, and not 51%, 80% are Shiites. And they are frustrated, and they feel they've been held down by the Sunni Arab rulers. Now, back when Khomeini took power, they tried, the Iranians, to ignite a Shiite revolt in Bahrain and take it over. And they'll try it again. Do you know who's also in Bahrain, in this little island, and most people haven't heard about? That's the main base of the United States Fifth Fleet. If you're an Iranian military planner and you want to get the Americans out of the Gulf, get the U.S. Navy out of your hair, get a revolt of the Shiites in Bahrain, take it over, kick out the Fifth Fleet base, and you can dominate the Gulf. So those are the kinds of things I would expect will happen in the next year or two. And if they get nuclear weapons, they will feel empowered, and those that they are helping will feel empowered.
And you think they will get nuclear weapons?
All indications are that in the next 6 or 8 months, they will have enough fissile material to produce an atomic bomb.
Is it true what the New York Times reported a few days ago, that Israel was denied help by the U.S. About a year ago?
Well, according to the report, I understand that Israel needs two things. It needs special bunker buster bombs to penetrate places like Natanz, where they are doing their uranium enrichment. And Israel, more importantly, even needs overflight rights. I mean, just look at a map. We're in Israel. Iran is over there, about 1,300 kilometers away. And you have countries in the middle, so we can fly over Jordan. But if we have to fly over Iraq, that's U.S.-controlled airspace. We need the United States to know that those Israeli planes are friendly. We don't need to have the U.S. Air Force try and take us down. Northward, we have Turkey. Turkey has become more oriented towards Islamic fundamentalism under the current leadership. And then we have Saudi Arabia to the south. So if you don't go the Turkish route and you don't go the Saudi route, you got to go the Iraq route. But if the United States says, no, you can't fly over Iraqi airspace, it's a little hard to accomplish your mission.
You know, tomorrow we're going to talk to Dore about that one thing right here with Iran and what can be done about Iran and its nuclear program. Precious people, I'm telling you, the coming of the Lord is near. And what's happening with Hamas, I believe, is the beginning of the war predicted in Ezekiel 38:39. I'm sure you're probably quite acquainted with Ezekiel's prophecy. In Ezekiel 38, he talks about Russia being involved in helping Iran, called Persia, of course, there. And he actually names certain nations like Libya, Turkey, amazingly. You just mentioned Turkey becoming more to they're moving more to the radical side of things. And he mentions all that. And now you see Iran being involved in backing and training Hezbollah, Hamas. And it's all coming together, frankly. I mean, who knows how long before we see this war. But tomorrow I'm going to talk about Iran and how Iran fits with all that's going on right now. Because really, I mean, okay, Hamas maybe can be stopped and eliminated, but you have Iran to deal with. And now, do you believe that Hamas can be stopped?
Yes. First of all, I believe that Western armies can win counterinsurgency campaigns against terrorist groups. And you know who's the best proof of that? General Petraeus in Iraq.